What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Horsemen Podcast here on the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel. And the crew, most of the crew is here as always. Yours truly, Levi, Thrash Maniac 99. And of course, I'm joined by three of the other four compadres of the show. First off, please welcome the lagger, well, formerly the lagger, now just the, I don't know what the hell to call him anymore. Ricky, a.k.a. Horror Master.
Hello.
And then right above him on screen, please welcome our favorite German woman, then again the only German woman I think most of us know, Hannah Klein.
Hello.
And then finally, last but certainly not least, the man I like to call the craziest Portuguese motherfucker, and that is Artur Felipe Castana.
How are you?
So, for this episode, we are... Oh my god, I can't believe we're actually doing this, but... We are doing top 10 Metallica songs. Oh my god. If you guys thought the death metal and thrash metal episodes were tough for me, this is even tougher.
Next ones will be tougher for all of us.
Yeah.
Especially once we get to Maiden and Rammstein. So. No way! We have a new lagger in the house.
I wasn't a lagging, I was just staring off into space like, what am I gonna have to do now?
Jesus, but you did it so violent.
Just standing sitting perfectly still like... I'm like Drax in Infinity War. I've mastered the art of sitting perfectly still.
And I'm Baby Groot dancing.
Oh god. So, and apologies for the echo. I don't know what happened to Artur's mic. I don't know why it's picking up our voices. But nonetheless, so yeah, little brief stories from each of us on how we got into Metallica before we get into the actual list. For me, kind of ties into how I got in metal in the first place. I was only 6-7 years old in the early 2000s. Before getting into school or just starting in school, I had an older brother who unfortunately passed away 3.5 years ago, and he at first got me into some hip-hop like Jay-Z and Eminem, and then eventually he played me I Disappear by Metallica, and I fell in love with it to the point where then afterwards I listened to Master of Puppets and Load. Those were the first two albums I got deep into, particularly Load because it was the one actual CD of Metallica that my brothers, both of them, had, and I would take it, sneak it away, listen to my CD player, and I just fell in love with Metallica from that point on, to the point where they're my favorite band of all time in the history of not just metal, but in music in general. And even when they put out a seemingly bad album, I still give them credit because at least they tried.
A couple.
Well, one. The other one I don't count as an album of theirs because it was a collab, but we'll get into that perhaps later. Or maybe not. So yeah, that's my brief story of how I got into Metallica. Ricky, since you're the lone guy with a Metallica shirt, and if I still had my Master of Puppets shirt, I would wear it, but I don't have it anymore. So, Ricky, how did you get into arguably the biggest metal band in the world in the history of the music?
So, same thing with Levi. I got into Metallica around 7 years old. The same time I got into AC/DC. And you all know AC/DC is my favorite band of all time. Metallica's like the top two. And the first song I ever heard from them was from Reload, The Memory Remains, which, also being a huge WWE fan, that song was constantly playing almost like in the end of an era with Triple H Undertaker.
Yep.
So You can also with wrestling, some Metallica songs will play, but the one album that really made me the Metallica fan I am right now. If you saw the thrash metal album, how much I love this album to death. Even Levi can justify that since that was his one too. And they're on my bucket list. Well, all of us are bucket list to see them at least one time. I just wish I wish Cliff Burton was still alive. That would have been cool. Oh, and also with Dave Mustaine, I want to take something from Dave Mustaine. You know, cancer's really fucked up. So, you know, first of all, fuck cancer and nothing but good wishes and everything is to Dave Mustaine so he can fight cancer.
Absolutely. All right, Hannah.
I got into Metallica when I was much older than you were. I think the first song I ever heard from them was Enter Sandman, and a guy in my class played it during a music class in school. And we sometimes used to sing Nothing Else Matters but, during music class. But personally, I got into them a lot later, or into my kind of musical exploration journey, whatever you might call it. I mean, I started getting into metal with Rammstein, and then mostly explored melodic death metal bands and black metal bands, and only much later got into a bit softer genres. And while I was looking for music, I kind of rediscovered Metallica. I found their concert live in Seattle, 1989. Was blown away by it, and from then on I started getting more into Metallica. But from this day, my favorite stuff that I like to listen to from Metallica definitely is that concert in Seattle, and the Live Shit Binge and Purge CD.
And of course, one of the best concert moments would be whenever during that Black Album tour, they would do this segment of the show where Lars would do drum solos, and then Hetfield would come on, and they would do a drum battle. Like, there's clips of it all over YouTube. It's fucking hilarious and awesome. And seeing Hetfield play Aerosmith Walk This Way, and Lars going, Aerosmith came to San Diego, huh?
And what I also love about the Live Shit is that bass solo by Jason Newsted. One of my favorite moments of that CD, or of that recording.
Yep. All right, Artur, your story.
I also got into Metallica years later, although not exactly on their best stuff. My father, when I was about 12 or 13, had the Load album, and I kind of got into Metallica, and when I started to add some money, I bought my proper first Metallica album, which was Injustice for All.
Me too.
And I enjoyed that album, and I thought this could not be the same band that did Load and stuff. What was I getting myself in at 13 years old? And I was not when I started to listen. And my favorite band will forever be made, but. I started to get into them. I actually joined up a bit into the Portuguese chapter of the Met Club. Cool guys. I still talk with them every now and then, and that's how I got into Metallica. Still, to me, their best stuff. And I don't care how much shit people talk about Load and Reload. I still enjoy those albums very much. Now, the later stuff. That's debatable, but I still enjoy them. I haven't listening up to them as much as I wanted, but then again, we would go back to that very same discussion: American thrash versus German thrash. Still, to me, German is winning by a country mile today, but that's a whole different story. That's how I got into Metallica, through Load and then through the backstory.
Alright, and now it is time for the actual list. Now, oh my lord. I told you guys in the last episode that this might be the episode where I might cry, because this list, I had just put it together this morning of the day of recording.
Is Levi going to be broken? Joining the broken universe?
Shall we send you some packages of tissues?
Oh,
But the problem is, it might take too long till they arrive in Ohio.
Start chopping onion. Start chopping onion.
Oh god, yeah. Where's an onion so I can actually cry? Oh my lord. But I had finally put together the list. There are so many great songs to choose from that it was just hard for me to choose. So I ended up with 9 honorable mentions. All over
7.
the place. They're all over the place. So some of the honorable mentions I have, Am I Savage, just because, like, even though that's one of their newer songs from Hardwired to Self-Destruct, I really like singing along to that song, because I thought on that album, Hetfield's voice was the best it sounded since the Black Album. And I really I really enjoyed singing along to that song every day while I was at work, at the golf course, picking up balls at the driving range where there was no one around. I would just sing along to that. Bit of an unconventional song, Slither, off of Reload. That's another one I liked singing along to. Partially with some of these songs I picked, it's because I love singing along to them. In the case of King Nothing, off of Load, not only for me was it good to sing along to, but pretty heavy riff and great bass line, too, that Jason Newsted didn't get a whole lot of credit for. The Unforgiven, which might come as a shock as how come that's not on the top 10. Again, tough list to pit on. Frayed Ends of Sanity from And Justice for All. I really love that intro, that awesome riff with the galloping drums. For Whom the Bell Tolls, iconic. Fade to Black, iconic. Seek and Destroy. Seek and Destroy, one of their first tunes. And then I battled in my head of whether or not to put this in the list over another song, and that's Welcome Home Sanitarium. I really wanted to put it on the list, but I was trying to go...
It's on my list.
I've thought so. I mean, the only reason why I decided to take it off is because I wanted to follow up to a theme I was wanting to do with my list, include one song from all their albums minus Saint Anger. There's only one album that has 2 songs on the actual top 10. I almost decided to put 3 with Sanitarium, but I needed to make room for one album in particular, and we'll get to that when we get to the actual list. Artur, your honorable mentions.
I actually have 4. And I did forget Unforgiven. It's one of my favorite songs, but I did forget. And it wasn't an easy list to do, as you said. And imagine how will that be once we do the Maidens
For the next episode.
Exactly. So I start off with one from Hardwired to Self-Destruct. And yeah, I could have put here Spit Out the Bone, Atlas Rise, and stuff, but I'm going to put one that is coming straight out of left field. Murder One. I mean, Motorhead will always be one of the major influences in Metallica's life and in all of our lives in general. And I still say that, yeah, Airborne still did a pretty good tribute song as well in one of their later albums. But Murder One, especially quoting stuff of, and tell me that whenever you hear I Still Hear Your Thunder, you cannot think of Lemmy, Dio, and all of the ones that were gone.
Yeah.
So that's Murder One. I was tempted to put on my list a load song, but I decided to put on my honorable mentions. And as you said, King Nothing, very strong bass riff, a very strong guitar push, and the song is just beautiful. It is just beautiful, and kind of symbolizes a bit the state of society today, that supposedly we are kings, but we are kings of nothing, so to say. From the Reload album, I chose my honorable mentions, The Memory Remains. It might be a bit overplayed song, but it's still very cool riff. The old lady started to do that whole crank stuff and start la 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 la
Yeah.
la la. Yeah. And also, tell me that whenever you hear "Memory Remains," you don't think a cell coming down.
For us wrestling fans who don't know, WrestleMania 28. For the Undertaker Triple H Hell in a Cell match, before the cell came down, as it lowered, they played Memory Remains, and I thought that was really cool.
You start to hear Fortune, Fame, Mirror, Fame.
Gone insane when the memory remains.
And the last one that I put on and I could put here 5 others. Enter Sandman. And I do have a bit of a personal history with Enter Sandman because, the riff is cool. Everything about Enter Sandman is quite cool, but a bit my personal history with it is when I started out in a band and I was about 18 years old. That's the first song that we ever rehearsed was Enter Sandman. I mean, I already knew how to play a bit. Sandman is not that hard of a song on drum, so. And I haven't played drums in almost 10 years. So, but I can still kick it with Sandman. So, those are my honorable mentions.
All right, Hannah.
I have 7. My first one is "My Friend of Misery," which I think is one of the most underrated songs out of the Black Album. Love that record. Love that song especially.
And funny
love
thing,
the lyrics.
Yeah, and funny thing with "My Friend of Misery," that song's been covered by 2 underground legends, Dark Tranquility and Borknagar. Yeah,
And I love the Borknagar.
I love the Borknagar version.
I can say a bit that one of the other most underrated songs in that album is "Of Wolf and Man."
Hell yes.
Then the next one is "Harvester of Sorrow."
Looks like Artur's was about to go into fetal position. Like, help me.
I mean, "And Justice for All" is without doubt my third favorite Metallica record, and I think there are many songs on this record that are underrated, at least for me, and one of them is "Harvest of Sorrow." Then the next song is "The Call of Cthulhu." I love Metallica instrumentals, but out of the 3 I considered for this list, this is the weakest in my opinion. Then the next one is "Whiskey in the Jar." I love that cover. Love the cover of Thin Lizzy. Was so sad when I didn't play it live when I saw them, but that's life. Then the next song is "Sad But True." Loved that song, but it didn't make it. Then the memory Remains is here as well. And the last song on my honorable mentions list is "Nothing Else Matters."
Uh-oh, Artur's upset. Now he has something to be upset with you about. So it's all come full circle.
Yes!
Oh, God. I was going to mention... crap, now I actually forgot what I was even going to say. Damn it.
Not the band with A.
Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. And also fun news, because you brought up "Whiskey in the Jar" being a great cover off of Garage Inc., they're supposedly going to make a second Garage Inc., which should be pretty fun to hear. See what they got up their sleeve this time, what they're going to cover.
They will probably cover Ghost. I think so.
I would love to hear them do. I would love to hear them do like another Blue Oyster Cult cover. That would be pretty cool.
I would love to hear them doing a cover in another language. That would be funny.
The reason why I went this for "Nothing Else Matters" is quite simple. And if anyone, and I can respect everyone's opinions, and if you don't like it, hey, kiss me where the ass cheeks meet. But the most overplayed and overrated song that I've ever heard of Metallica will forever be Nothing Else Matters.
And that's why it's only on the honorable mentions list.
And done. I am sick and done of that.
And I'll
song.
say this:
it's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song. It has a great riff. It has a great melody. But enough. Or as Owen Hart would say, enough is enough.
It's time for a change.
I just hate everything about. I just hate everything about Nothing Else Matters today, and especially hearing some newer fans of Metallica saying, "What's the first song?" And this happens quite often. What's the first song you ever heard of Metallica? Nothing Else Matters. Somebody please.
And one thing I was going to mention with Nothing Else Matters is the only reason I didn't put it on even honorable mention is because it's kind of a tough song for me to listen to anymore, just for the principal reason that was one of the songs that we had played at my brother's funeral, because that was one of the songs he loved so much. So I can't listen to that song now without possibly shedding a tear, so it's tough, but it is still a great song nonetheless. And actually, one more honorable mention, now that we brought up the Black Album, I forgot Wherever I May Roam's in my honorable mentions. How could I forget that? So there we go. Alright, and finally, Ricky, your honorable mentions.
I have 8 honorable mentions. Spit Out the Bone, probably my favorite for the latest album. The closest they got to their thrash roots in a long time.
That and Hardwired, yeah.
Welcome Home Sanitarium. I was this close in putting it up to just didn't make it. The Unforgiven 3. I love the Unforgiven sagas. The Unforgiven 3 is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
If I was to put The Unforgiven, I would put all 3.
Mm-hmm. The Day That Never Comes.
That's on my list. That's on mine.
I love the guitar. I love the guitar solo by Kurt. I mean, as a guitarist, I find it extremely hard to play. I can't play it. I wish I could play that fast as Kurt. Creeping Death. Yeah, it was a close for me, especially that, you know, everyone's with their fist, die. I mean, who else? I can't speak anymore. The Call of Cthulhu. The reason I'm putting this one here is because if we ever do the instrumentals, I want to save that for the instrumental episode. And also Orion's on my honorable mention.
It's on my list.
And last honorable mention, Artur said that Nothing Else Matters is the most overrated Metallica song. In my mind, it's Enter Sandman. The most overrated Metallica song.
Perhaps a close second, I would say.
Yeah. And that's it.
I would put Enter Sandman third. One of the other most overplayed songs is actually on my list.
Probably on mine too, maybe.
Alright, well, ladies and gentlemen, let's get down to the top 10, and I shall begin with number 10. Number 10, my favorite song from the new album, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, shockingly isn't Spit Out the Bone, or Hardwired, or Atlas Rise. It is the longest song on the album, Halo on Fire. That's another one that I loved singing along to while I was picking up golf balls at the driving range. Plus, it kind of was like a combination of like songs from the Black Album and Load. It kind of had a similar songwriting structure to songs like Until It Sleeps, with it starting out with a heavy riff, but then it gets into a melodic verse and then the heavy chorus with a heavy second half. But Hetfield's vocals was the shining moment of this album. Like I brought up with Am I Savage, probably Hetfield sounded the best he's ever sounded since the Black Album on Hardwired to Self-Destruct. I can't describe how good the singing was on that album. Hetfield, bless you, man. Speaking of Hetfield, I plan on doing a NASCAR 06 playthrough as James Hetfield. That's gonna be funny to do eventually when I get to that. So yeah, and of course Halo on Fire being the longest song of the album, and how it just went all over the place and went from like slow to mid-tempo to even fast towards the end with some double bass. One of the few songs on the album that has double bass, because I'll even admit, even though that album was in my mind top 10 for 2016, it wasn't higher than that because it would have been better if Lars's drumming was a little more experimental instead of just a bass snare all the time. And I even told Artur this before we got started, that if I had a drum kit, equipment to record YouTube covers, I would try to do some of these songs but with better drum playing. Like more kick, more fills, the whole 9 yards. But yeah, number 10, Halo on Fire, from Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Ricky.
Arthur kind of spoiled this a bit already, and I kind of did already. But number 10 is The Memory Remains. First Metallica song I ever heard. Probably my favorite of the... Is it from Reload? Is it from Reload, The Memory Remains? From Reload, probably my favorite song next to another one that's higher on the list. This is it. Metallica in the 90s, 2000s, when they went a bit of an alternative. And I love that stuff. And like Arthur said, if I would have discovered that before this right here, I would have gone all ball out crazy. Like, what is Reload and Load? Why am I listening to this? Instead of I could be listening to Master, Kill 'Em All and all that. But this was the song that started it for me, and it holds a special place in my heart. Also, the fact that the old crazy lady with the la 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 rips me the hell out. And the music video's a bit questionable, but effective.
I was gonna say it there wouldn't be a problem if you got songs from Load and Reload mixed up because they were recorded at the same time, just released 1 year apart. So there's that funny joke that you could easily, hell, you know what? That should be an episode in itself someday. If we were to construct the perfect Load album of all the songs from Load and Reload into one to make a great Metallica album out of those songs, to fit the 79-minute album length limit. Yeah. So that could be an episode in itself, and we'd probably be bloody and battered by the end. All right, Hannah.
I have always had a soft spot for instrumental, and I love Metallica instrumentals, and my number 10 is To Live Is To Die. I've always loved that song, how it progresses, the guitar tone on this one, and I simply love it, and the title fits perfectly to that song. It's one of my favorite songs out of Injustice for All. What is there to say about this one?
I do love how it starts off soft, and then like a minute in it fades into getting heavy. Yeah. I love that transition. But
then it gets soft again at the end, and
and even in the middle, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I simply love how it progresses between heavy and soft parts, and it's such an interesting song, and it doesn't need vocals, and that's what I find great about it.
Yeah, even though you did have the spoken word message of Cliff Burton's last words, but you could still,
Yeah.
Which I thought that was a nice touch to pay tribute to Cliff. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
All right, now Artur.
My number 10, it's coming off probably one of my favorite Metallica album of all time, and we discussed this in the thrash metal episode. It's the self-titled song, Ride the Light. I mean, there will be another one, but I mean, Fight Fire with Fire and then continuing with Ride the Light, it's just awesome. And especially that whole intro riff, and then going on to that hard section. Ride the Lightning, another one of the more underrated songs of arguably to me their best album, Ride the Lightning. because most people just go to the more recognizable. Another one that's going to be here on my list, but that's all. But Ride the Lightning is my number 10, and especially coming in from my favorite album, Ride the Lightning.
Alrighty, and while you're at it here, Artur, why don't we start with you for number 9?
This may be a bit controversial.
Is that Mr. Fireblade?
I think he's going to join us.
There he be.
Here he is.
So, Mr. Fireblade, you missed out on just honorable mentions. We had just gotten into the actual list.
Okay.
So, real quick, if you want to give out your number 10, you may.
My number 10 will have to be Enter Sandman.
Well,
And
if you want
and I hope that if the Sandman ever returns, that they have Metallica play his theme songs and have the fans sing the chorus of that song. Because that was an amazing feeling when ECW was around, and every time Sandman comes out, you just hear extra life.
One Night Stand ECW One Night Stand 2005. One of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen.
I agree with that one.
Alright, now back to Artur at number 9.
Mine is the... That's not me.
Wow. That about killed my left ear.
My number 9 may be a bit out of left field, so to say, but it's one of the best songs that Metallica ever done. Straight out of the S&M album, No Leaf Clover. It's a brilliant song, and even though it's the only song that they ever done for the new song, because as we all know, S&M is just basically Metallica songs played with an orchestra, and then you have a hidden masterpiece in the No Leaf Clover.
Yeah,
and just so great. That old orchestration on the back, accompanied by Metallica and James Hetfield singing those riffs. I mean, No Leaf Clover, another one of the underrated songs, and I'm just sad that they cannot bring an orchestra every time that they are on tour, unfortunately. But I would pay good money to see them play once again No Leaf Clover, but this time with an actual orchestra and not having the orchestra playing on the back. So, number 9, the No Leaf Clover.
Yeah. Alright, for me, my number 9. Now, this was the song I was battling with along with Welcome Home Sanitarium to put on the list because I wanted to put one song from Kill 'Em All on the list, but I was tempted to leave it off just because to get Sanitarium up there. But I got for number 9, the one song from Kill 'Em All I have, Phantom Lord. I really, really liked Phantom Lord, especially those opening riffs, and then it just thrashes you right in the face, and then the little melodic break in the middle towards the end. That's just, in my opinion, the highlight off of Kill 'Em All. I could have, like I said, I had Seek and Destroy on the list. I could have also put Metal Militia on the list as well, the closing song, because that one's a classic.
What the?
He was on.
He just left.
There he went. Oh no. Again, this show isn't what it is without technical difficulties.
What the hell just happened? I was saying it away. I may top that Phantom Lord choice with something I have on up my sleeve, but spoilers for later.
I think I know what it is. But anyways, but yeah, Phantom Lord number 9. Raphael, you're number 9.
My number 9 will have to be Until It Sleeps from this album, Load. Even though this album, it's not thrash, they kind of went to more like a post-grunge side. But this album is probably the most underrated album. Probably the most hated, but there are some good songs on this album, I'm not gonna lie. And Until It Sleeps, I find it unique, especially the music video that had kind of like, how they believe God went to give away our sins and stuff. And pretty much he's talking about that he's not going to stress himself of everything he's been through and all that. Because everyone knows, James' mom died of cancer and she refused to go to hospitals because she's faithful and all that. So he explained mostly he's not going to stress himself. Oh, what I've been through, I don't need anyone bother me about it. So that's what I like about that one song in particular.
Funny enough, a song similar to that lyrically is on my list later on. We'll get to that. That's all I'm going to say. Ricky, you're number 9.
My number 9 is probably, I said it, my favorite song from the Reload album, The Unforgiven 2. I love, from The Unforgiven to The Unforgiven 2, the music video is perfect, continues the story of this mischief. I don't know if you want to say we're misfit, I don't know what everyone calls them. I'm just having just bad luck. I mean, we all have bad luck in life. Sometimes we struggle for survival. And this song, it gives some light to sometimes dark times in my mind. And this song holds a big special place in my heart because it's one of those songs my cousin and I, who's 2 years older than me, whenever we go, like on road trips and we always put it, we always sing along to it. And we just have a blast. And especially I've been trying to learn the guitar solo from this song as well. It's a bit easier than if I want to learn something from Master Puppets or even Spit Out the Bone. But yeah, I mean, Unforgiven 2. The one thing I wish from the Hardwire album they did is they would have added like the Unforgiven 4, like continue the Unforgiven saga, because I think they could get some more material with the Unforgiven.
Yeah, they could. Even though 3 is a perfect way to do it because the traditional trilogy, which is fair. Although I felt like if they had saved Unforgiven 3 for Hardwired, where it was better produced, it probably would have sounded better. Because the one criticism that I have on Death Magnetic, to me, Death Magnetic was a great return to form somewhat for the band. The problem, the production. It was way too distorted, way too loud. That's the one criticism I had for that album. If the production was better, I could have made the argument it could have been one of the top 2 albums of 2008 with Opeth, but the production kind of killed it for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Isn't the Rick Rubin production?
Yes.
Yes. And it's funny, it doesn't say Blacken on the side, it says Warner Brothers. So that probably
that was their one Warner Brothers release.
Yeah.
Alright, and Hannah, you're number 9!
My number 9 is Enter Sandman, and the reason why it's on number 9 is simply because it has been played too often. It's the same problem with Nothing Else Matters. In my opinion, it has been played too often, and I mean, it's a great song, but I mean, let's be honest, everyone has listened to it at least 100 times, maybe even more, and I think that's what kind of kills the song. I mean, songs from earlier records, they are still musically interesting even after listening to them for like 100 times. But Enter Sandman, I mean, it lacks the musical finesse some of their earlier material has, and if you play it too often, it will get old. It's still a great song. I love the lyrics, I love the music, but
it's too overdone.
Too much.
Yeah. And Brock Lesnar used it in his UFC debut.
Yeah, he did. He used that. He used that and Shout at the Devil, I believe, by Motley Crue for his UFC run.
But the one that you do very
You're
well
there,
is the sound.
Artur. You're fine. Ah,
He just left it again. There you go.
waiting on Artur to unmute himself. Whenever he unmutes himself, it's fine. I don't know what the problem is. But again, technical difficulties happen.
There's no
there he is.
Nothing in the UFC will beat Josh the War Master Barnett.
I agree.
Using
with
Fourth
both
Crusade,
swords
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Well, he won the award for Metal Athlete, so that explains it a lot.
Yep. All right, now it's time to move on to number 8. Ricky, how about you begin?
My number 8 is Nothing Else Matters.
Nothing else matters. That's a good song. I like.
Oh, Hannah's got a dog.
Oh, how cute.
Somebody was sitting in front of my door and barking.
Well,
He's like, "Can I come in?"
She's very dangerous.
Yeah, as long as he's in a good mood, it'll be fine.
beauty of a dog. Number Nothing Else Matters. Well, again, another overrated song. It's just a good song.
I agree. I mean, it's been covered a lot, especially by Apocalyptica. Instrumental version.
It's a ballad. You guys know I'm a sucker for ballads. And the
Yeah.
only that I think James Hetfield's guitar solo. If I'm
Yeah.
wrong. But yep, number Nothing Else Matters.
All right, Hannah, you're number 8.
My number 8 is Welcome Home Sanitarium. I mean,
I'm really regretting not putting that in the top 10, for God's
Every
sake.
single episode.
Speaking of, I'm gonna go get my list here back.
It's on my list, but not in this position.
well, I love it more than I like songs that I've mentioned on my honorable mentions. I love the lyrics on this song. About somebody in a sanitarium who cannot get out and simply wants to be left alone and has his freedom. Love the instrumental arrangement. Out of one of my favorite Metallica albums. I mean, there's nothing to hate about it, and it doesn't get boring for me. Unlike Enter Sandman.
All right, my number 8. Ricky brought it up in his honorable mentions. The one song from Death Magnetic on my list, The Day That Never Comes. In my opinion, the best written song off of that album. The closest they got to a classic from the 80s that's on my list later on. The closest they got to like that kind of structure where it's the melodic verses, the heavy chorus, and then a thrashy second half with amazing guitar solos. Plus, the lyrics all about times of war and trying to get out. And even the music video reflected that too, which was actually, in my opinion, one of the best Metallica music videos too.
I agree. It's like military guys, how they struggle, how they're always there for their partners.
Mm-hmm. So that's my number 8. Raphael, you're number 8.
My number 8 is the same as yours. That data never comes. It was the same one. Well, like you said, that's what I like about it. It's unique. Music video was very good, especially for a comeback, trying to go back to their old roots, but just having that melodic feeling of it for a 7-minute song. And let's say Metallica has played a lot of great songs that are 7 minutes long, and I find that one very unique. Love it.
All right, now Artur, you're number 8.
My number 8, Hannah kind of spoiled a little bit, but it's from the And Justice for All album. It's the Harvester of Sorrow. I mean, I just love that crunch. I just love that crunch in that very same song. Down pace, down tune. I mean, feels so raw. It feels so raw. Harvester of Sorrow, and out of the all the songs of Injustice for All, I don't know why they don't play it as much. I guess that now they have been playing a lot since I've been seeing all the videos. But it's a freaking fantastic song. It's not the thrashy stuff, and it's not like my main choice here of this album, but Harvester of Sorrow is my number 8.
All right, now we move on to number 7. And Artur, how about you begin?
It's once again from this very same album, from Ride the Light. And I only have one word to say. Die by my hand, I creep across the land, killing firstborn man. I mean, creeping death. It may be overplayed as heck, but how can you not love Metallica and not enjoy creeping death?
Especially live.
Exactly. Fast, loud, strong, powerful. Kind of quoting the Bible a little way in the killing the firstborn man, and so let me return, so let it be done, sent here by the chosen one. I mean, that's almost quoting the Bible, and it's like that. It's pure emotion, it's pure aggression in one fantastic song. My number 7.
My number 7, Raphael brought up with the lyrics of Until It Sleeps. This, in my opinion, was the best example of like telling the story of James's mother dying of cancer. The one song from the Black Album on my list, quite an unorthodox choice, but in my opinion, the heaviest song on the Black Album, The God That Failed.
Oh.
Love that song to death. I was jamming that song out this morning prior to recording. Love the bass intro of Jason Newsted, and then just the riffs and the lyrics, like all about like with similar to Until It Sleeps, like James's mother dying of cancer and refusing to go to the hospital and just relying on faith.
Yeah.
And it, as the title said, failed.
Yeah, it failed.
It was very powerful lyrical song, but in my opinion, the heaviest song of the album. Neck and neck with Sad But True in terms of the overall dissonance in the guitar, but very melodic at the same time. So number 7, The God That Failed from the Black Album. Hannah, your number 7.
For my number 7, I was thinking about powerful live song, and I came up with 3. The first one was already mentioned by Arthur, which is Creeping Death. Definitely a powerhouse live. Then the next one is Seek and Destroy. Also awesome live. And the last one is Am I Evil? I mean, I've seen them live. All 3 of them. All 3 were awesome. Love to chant them. Gets your blood pumping and... Yep.
Alright, Raphael, your number 7.
My number 7 was to be Attitude from the Reload album.
Ooh, that's an unorthodox choice for sure. That's a good tune.
I agree, and it sounds amazing. If you ever go to any combat sports, or you just want to have a good time as far as mosh pitting or fighting, you can just put that song every time. That's what I like about it. Yeah. You're born with attitude, by all means, that song all the time.
And Ricky, your number 7.
My number 7 is the first of 2 songs from their debut album, and it's a song that you can say was named after the show, The 4 Horsemen.
I knew it.
That's my number 4, sir.
For even more irony.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were trying to go for irony, but it worked.
you will hear irony in another choice of mine.
I mean, you could. It's like not having. It's one of our anthems. You can, I can say. I mean, the lyrics of the apocalypse, the horseman riding, nothing but destruction. That's what we were named after, basically, in the horns. Just getting destruction, getting shit up, ready for battle. This is a good song to work out to. I mean, I always get pumped up whenever I work out. Oh, it gets me the blood blowing. Oh.
Yeah. All right, now we move on to the number of the beast, number 6. For me, this is the first of 2 songs from my favorite album of all time, Master of Puppets, that will be on the list. Number 6, Orion. In my opinion, their best instrumental, and in my opinion, the greatest instrumental. And then for me, perhaps the greatest instrumental in all of metal, just in my opinion. Cliff Burton's Shining Moment in the middle with the bass melodic break. Rest in peace, Cliff. If only he was still here, who knows what would happen. But Orion at number 6. Hannah.
My number 6 is also from Master of Puppets, but I selected something different. I selected both Battery and Master of Puppets to be my number 6. And now I killed everybody. I simply love the intro of Battery. It's such a great intro, probably one of the greatest intros ever written, and how the song progresses. It gets so heavy, so aggressive, and then you've got Master of Puppets following that up. It's simply awesome. I love it, but I love other songs more. And now everybody's dead.
Rick here, number 6.
I think it's almost the same thing.
Ricky, you're number 6.
Delete.
Sorry.
And now Ricky... Oh, there he is. And now Ricky's lost it too.
He's speechless.
I didn't see that one coming. Number 6, Seek and Destroy.
Damn you up. That was my number 5.
Right there.
At least I have a number 6 that no one would dare to get.
Alright, well, Raphael, won't you go ahead and tell us your number 6?
Number 6
while I do this, little shot glass, and...
Number 6, what to be Master of Puppets, the name of the album. I mean, I just like it. It's like it's
why
unique.
did I know that was coming, and that's why I just splashed a shot glass of water in my face, just because I knew that was coming. I don't wanna have to go shirtless, but I might have to. Or I'll just change. Hold on. I'll just switch, because now I got my Broken Hope shirt soaked.
You will wear your Sepultura crop top.
Yeah, you go wear that one. That's weird.
Might as well go with that.
Yeah, well, I chose it because it's just unique. The riffing is good, and it's a unique song. And plus, they played it in one of their movies that they had. Well, you just go to a full one.
Wow. All right, Artur, you're number 6.
Am I the only one that doesn't have Master of Puppets on this list? I guess I am.
Yeah.
Because my number 6, and it may be a bit of an unorthodox choice, but it comes from the Black Album. It's not Sandman, it's on my honorable mention. Wherever I May Roam. The story, all of it speaking about a nomad. Speaking about a nomad, which basically can be translated into them on the road all the time, and the earth becomes my throne, and the earth becomes my throne, and the road becomes my. That's it. So wherever I'm, it's a great piece. So my number 6, Wherever I May.
And I just like when they start playing those drums as fast as they can. It's amazing.
And then on top of that intro with that bass crack, and then into that almost kind of Middle Eastern guitar sound.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a sitar.
Yeah. Okay, top 5 time. We're into the second half, and I shall begin this one with perhaps the most unorthodox choice out of any song on my list, and in my opinion, the most underrated Metallica song ever written.
Lulu.
Not quite. Excuse me. For me, the most underrated Metallica song of all time comes from Reload. This is the one Reload song I have. It's not any of the hits. It's not Fuel. It's not Memory Remains. It's not Unforgiven 2. It is Where the Wild Things Are.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I listen to that song so much, and I love like the lyrical themes of like toy soldiers fighting in wars and like dreams and stuff like that. Musically, it reminded me so much of Alice in Chains. Like, you could honestly mistake this for an Alice in Chains song at times. Even the vocal harmony close to the end of the song with Hetfield and Newstead reminded me so much of like Jerry Cantrell and Lane Staley's harmonized vocals. I just really like this song for its darkness, the slow pace, and the strange lyrics. Then again, Hetfield's notorious for writing strange lyrics at times, so it totally fit the bill. This is the one Metallica song I would love to see more people give appreciation to for their attempts to write something dark and something that was inspired by a band that came after them, which is really interesting to hear that Alice in Chains had that much of an impact on their later music. So, number 5, Where the Wild Things Are. Hannah, 5.
My number 5 consists of some kind of monster. No, I'm just kidding. No, my number 5 consists of Ride the Lightning and the Beltos. It's the same with Battery and Master of Puppets. I simply love the continuation of both songs. I mean, once you listen to Ride the Lightning is an awesome song, and then Foam the Bell Tolls as the next track, simply amazing. I love the lyrics on Foam the Bell Tolls and all those Hemingway references. Simply great. And then the bass intro by Cliff Burton, amazing. And the way the song progresses, probably one of my favorite Metallica songs, especially live.
Ricky.
My number 5, it's The Unforgiven. It's the Unforgiven. That music video is probably my favorite Metallica music video. Black and white. Just again, the story, something said about The Unforgiven 2 and 3. It's so much darker. And, you know, like I said, some light and dark times. Sometimes songs are great songs. This is a great song. I wish I could see live one day.
Oh, it's amazing live.
It's my favorite from the Black Album.
Same here.
I agree with that one.
All right, Raphael, you're number 5.
Number 5 is Seek and Destroy from Kill 'Em All. And the reason I chose that one, I mean, the song is great, especially if you're going to go hunting or if you just decide that you want to be a bit sneaky, you can just hide around a corner and just seek your target, destroy it. Simply as that.
That's what I do on Gary's Mod Trouble in Terrorist Town all the time, especially those last couple of videos I posted from it. All right, and Artur, you're number 5.
Another one that might be coming out of left field, also from the very first album, but remember when I told you, Levi, that I was going to one up Phantom Lord? Bass solo, take 1. Anesthesia, pulling.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's 4 minutes. It's 3-4 minutes of possibly the best player that Metallica ever had, Cliff Burton, and it's him and Lars Ulrich just jamming out. How can you not enjoy that song? You could go to the hits. You could go to your Seek and Destroys. You could go to your Metal Militias. You can go to your Four Horsemen even. But there is one song out of that album that we will never hear again, and it's because of Cliff Burton himself and the work that he did on one fantastic song. Another great instrumental song, and that's why my number 5 is Anesthesia.
Alrighty, now we're at to number 4. And I'm going to let Hannah begin this one.
Ricky already talked about these 3 songs. I have them on my number 4, the entire Unforgiven trilogy. For me, these 3 songs simply belong together. Whenever I listen to one of them, I have to listen to the other 2. I love the lyrics and the way they are connected about this man growing up and being hindered and having problems and and so on. I mean, we all know the lyrics, and I love the instrumental arrangements. For me, the Unforgiven one is without doubt my favorite song out of the Black Album, and the same goes for the other 2. I'm not a big fan of the music Metallica released after the Black Album, but I love the Unforgiven trilogy. For me, without doubt, the best songs out of Reload and Death Magnetic. I would pay a lot of money to see all 3 being performed one after another. That would be kind of my dream when it comes to Metallica set list. But I think it will never happen.
Probably not. I don't even know if they've even played Unforgiven 3 live.
I don't think they haven't.
No, they haven't. They're normally. I think they only play that day in their concert. All Nightmare Long story.
And that's sad. I mean, all 3 are great songs.
All right, Artur.
My number 4, it comes from the Master of Puppets album, and yeah, Master of Puppets is a great song. Battery is fantastic, although my favorites, and I'm not putting these other 2 on it, are Leper Messiah, The Thing That Should Not Be, and my number 4 on the list, Welcome Home, Sanitarium. You hear that first chord, and then just a ding ding, and then you instantly recognize Sanitarium. And just like Hannah said, something going on in a sanitarium. A man who lost his sanity trying to recover it, and once he gets his freedom, he just wants to stay alone. That's why the main chorus is Sanitarium, leave me be, or just leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's always, and it even that old altar chorus, fear of living on, near is getting restless no, mutinies in the air. I mean, it's fantastic. It's almost like we're hearing a page of a page of an insane man's diary. So, Sanitarium, my number.
All right, my number 4. The song from Ride the Lightning that's on my list at number 4, Fight Fire with Fire. I mean, a classic opening track, the acoustic intro at the beginning to help set up what the thrashing mayhem that song was about to ensue was amazing. I mean, the fast double bass playing towards the end from Lars, again, one of the few highlights in Lars' drumming career was when he could play double bass, he could play double bass. Even if he didn't do it all the time, he could do it just as good as, say, a Dave Lombardo or Gene Hoglan. But with Fight Fire with Fire, I mean, like I said, great acoustic intro that leads into the pounding, the song just punches you in the fucking jaw, and that's the best way to go about describing it. Raphael, you're number 4.
Number 4 is the name of our podcast, The Four Horsemen. I mean, it makes sense. Put four horsemen. And I chose that one because it's unique. You could work out to it. You could use it as a combat theme song. And if you have a group and you just want to be epic with an explosion on your back, just play the Four Horsemen.
You can almost work out to any Metallica song, especially
Nothing else matters.
Yeah. Nothing else matters. That just made me to work out. Nothing else matters.
Although when I was at the gym, I used to work out to to Wherever I May Roam and of Wolf and Man too.
All right, did we get yours, Ricky, or are you the last one? All right.
My 4 is probably my second favorite song from Ride the Lightning, For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yeah.
That's my number 3. That's my number
number 1.
I'm trying to contain the art.
And Ricky's about to shit himself. Oh god. Alright, so now we move on to the top 3. I'll begin this one. This is the one song from Load that I have on the list, and this was the song, along with number 1, that I got the most into growing up. And I would listen with my headphones on with an old CD player. Yeah, kids, remember back when there were CD players? Didn't think so. But this was
Tape players.
But this was the song that I got into the most, along with my number 1 choice, Bleeding Me. That song is like a true representation of what Metallica was all about, but at a slower tempo. And I just love that riff, that boom, down, down. I wish I could play that on guitar. That's really all I got to say. Bleeding Me at number 3. If I talk too much about this, we'd be on here for 2 hours. Artur, you're number 3.
Someone already spoiled my number 3. Probably the second best bass riff of all time. Cliff Burton's from Ride the Lightning, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I mean, how can you not hear all those bells ringing in on the fire, and then you just don't start to think na 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 na. No.
And then just having three guitars at the same time.
Exactly, but it's like, as Anna said, the Hemingway references are all there, especially in the title itself, For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yeah.
And it's just a great song. Overplayed as heck, but not as overrated as Sandman. Nothing else matters, and so much. But still, it's a fantastic Metallica song.
Yeah.
Trujillo and Newsted try to be Cliff, but there will always be one Cliff.
Yeah. And especially Cliff them all.
Is exactly. For Whom the Bell Tolls, my number.
Raphael?
Well, it's a trilogy because there's all three of the Unforgiven. Yeah, that's like all the Unforgiven songs are unique, and music video, the story, it's amazing. And I agree with you on this part, Hannah. If they could, I will pay a lot of money, same as you, if they play all three of them one after another live.
I think we will all pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Hannah.
I think it is time again to break the internet with my number 3. My number 3 is 1.
Son of a bitch!
I did it!
I mean, come on, that song is good. Don't get me wrong. It would make sense if I put it
again! Yes!
You know, it would have been that name would have been better if someone put it as the top one song.
Raphael, you have your wish. 1 is my number 1.
Oh.
And that's my number 2.
Irony meter just went over 9,000.
I told you I would break the internet. I was thinking about putting it higher, but then there are 2 songs that I like more, slightly more. What I love about these songs are the lyrics. This man trapped inside body, and he cannot die, and machines keeping him alive, and he's denied his one sole wish, and that is death, because his existence is simply too miserable to remain living. And then these this spoken word passages mixing with instrumentals, crazy guitar solos, crazy song progressions, awesome riffs. In my opinion, it's one of the best songs they have ever written, despite it being post-Cliff. But I love it. I love it to death, this song. And it unlike Sandman, it doesn't get old. There's so much creativity in there, and it had to be very high on the list, but sorry, I could put it higher.
And Santa already has her number 3. I might as well talk it to mine as well. Same thing Hannah said. The first Metallica video that they ever released. If there was a song that I would recommend a new Metallica fan, 1 would be the song.
Yep, this is the one.
I agree with that one.
I had a feeling I thought I was the one who was gonna mention it, but Hannah had to mention it. I
guess I made the mistake of asking her to say it first.
This is the payback I got on the episode 2 when I mentioned my number 1 as Johnny Cash first. This is the payback I got.
Oh, there you go.
That was an awesome moment.
But then again, no moment's gonna ever top whenever I brought up Ghost Prequel and Hannah went, "Screw you, die!
Screw you, die!
that I have occasionally as the outro to my videos now.
Europe versus America in terms of prequel.
That album is shit.
Well, hey,
It
hey,
is.
hey, World War. We're gonna start World War again, okay? Last time we had a World War, look what happened.
Anyways, let's not go back into the ghost fights again. So now we move on to our top two, and I shall let Artur begin.
My number one has been spoiled, ironically.
I said number two.
My number two.
Yeah.
Ricky kind of spoiled it as well. It's once again from Master of Puppet, and arguably one of the best instrumentals of all time.
That's my number two as well.
Here we go again. And
I mean, those songs are great, so they should be high on the list.
I know, but I know. And every time we do this, something happens. Even black metal albums, our number one, myself and Han.
In the Night Side Eclipse.
But Orion, arguably one of the best instrumentals of all time. A song that has been rarely played live, but we understand it's an epitaph to the entire works of Cliff Burton, who unfortunately passed away during the tour of the Master of Puppets. Who I think they were with Anthrax when it happened.
Yeah.
They
But still,
only
there will
24
never be-
days.
Yeah, which is a highly unfortunate. But there will never possibly one song that symbolizes Metallica or any other that symbolizes Metallica as much as Orion itself. And Raphael, you mentioned Apocalyptic during their first album playing Metallica by Four Cello. Those covers are very.
And now Artur's the lagger. Uh-oh. You've got a new guy taking your moniker, Ricky.
You can take.
Sorry about that. But as I was saying, I never thought that Metallica would also sound so good just with four cellos. And
I agree with that.
2 years ago, Apocalyptica came to Portugal live. They played Orion on cellos.
They did it at Wacken as well.
Exactly. It was beautiful. As beautiful, not as much, but almost as beautiful as the original song itself. So that's why, to me, Orion, it's a beautiful song. And and some people said that Cosmic Sea by Death is Chuck Schuldiner's Orion. In a way, it is. So Orion is number.
Alright, my number two. Well, Hannah spoiled it. It's one. The thing about it, not only with one, but with the whole And Justice for All album, as much shit we like to give the production for there not being bass that's audible, I will say that album as a whole, including this song, is Lars Ulrich's shining moment as a drummer, where he got really experimental with how he played, more double kick, more fills, and especially that little breakdown that gets into the heavy stuff at towards the end of the song where he goes like, I love that breakdown. It was such a cool moment for the song in the album. I mean, quotable lyrics, great music video, the first video they ever did. What else can be said about the song one that hasn't been said already? Artur, well, we got your number two. Ricky.
And, I think Ricky, you're number two.
Lagging.
Up there, Edie. Uh-oh. There we go. Alright, Ricky. We could hear you fiddling with the buttons. Oh, the lagger returns with a vengeance, but not the typical lag, it's just his microphone lagging. Oh boy. I thought I heard you for a second. Oh, Ricky. Alright, for now, while we wait, Raphael, you're number 2.
My number 2 is another great instrumental song that they created, and that's the Call of Cthulhu. I just like the way it starts, the dark beginning, and at first, when I heard it, I'm like, he's gonna have to sing eventually, but no, he just plays the instruments, unique. It's amazing, and I just like it. It's like basically talking about the legendary Cthulhu. If he ever comes by, you'll just hear that those dark instruments coming. And yeah, the Cthulhu, pretty much a squid-looking character, kind of like how they made Davy Jones look like a pirate.
Yeah.
So I just like it. And if Cthulhu ever existed, by all means, you should just come out with that song, with that theme song behind them.
All right, and Ricky, do we have you back finally?
Yep. My number 2.
All right.
Fade to Black.
Oh.
Which, here's the thing. Watch Mojo. They put that number, which why they would put it, but that over my number 1. Nah, get out of here.
I agree.
It's slow. It's about, but I don't know. I just think of D-Day with Fade to Black. I don't know. I might be the only one.
I agree. No, I agree.
It's just a great song, and my favorite from Right to Like Me. My favorite song from Right to Like Me.
All right, Hannah.
I mean, Artur already spoke about Orion. In my opinion, it's the greatest instrumental Metallica has ever written. It defines the sound of Cliff Burton and his sheer brilliance when it came to compositions. And I simply love how the song progresses over and over, and it's so heavy, so melodic, and complex, yet it doesn't need words, and it's still great. For me, it's without doubt the best song out of Master of Puppets. Screw Master of Puppets, screw Batteries, screw all other songs, but this is without doubt the best song on this record. And they have never reached the greatness ever again after that one. Well, maybe with one, but apart from that, no song ever came close to Orion, in my opinion. One of the first Metallica songs I listened to after I discovered a huge part of their discography, and it's still one of my favorites. I love it.
Okay, and now, oh man, it's time for the grand finale. Number 1. Raphael, you're number 1.
My number 1's already been mentioned many times, and that's For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Hannah.
My number 1 is Fade to Black. I mean, it's rather a ballad, but still heavy at moments. I love how it progresses. I love the lyrics, and then the guitar solos. This kind of dual guitar solos. For me, it perfectly showcases what James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett's guitar playing is all about. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. Of course, it's a staple. One could argue it has been overdone, but for me, it doesn't get old. It's still fresh, as fresh as the first time I've listened to it. For me, there's nothing better than this song. Without doubt, Ride the Lightning is my favorite Metallica record, and this is my favorite song of this record.
Artur.
Oh,
Your mic's still muted, dude.
We can't hear you.
You forgot to hit your own button.
He was ranting for himself.
But nevertheless, ironically speaking, my number one is one. I mean, the whole story of a shell-shocked war veteran, so disfigured that he just wants to kill, that he just wants to die, and the great music video, but still the riffs. I mean, always that old whoa whoa whoa. But that's not my favorite riff. It's when it comes to before when he starts saying darkness.
That's.
I just brought that up. That breakdown.
That riff is so crunchy, so powerful, just like Creeping Death. But no, it is also a great riff. But you just wanna like machine gun in a way, like firing a machine gun.
Like artillery.
Yes, artillery, machine gun. You can use the sound effects for both. So my number one is one. Ironic.
Okay, now for Ricky, I think I know what his number one is, and it's probably the same as mine. So number one, Master of Puppets. I shall let Ricky talk about it first.
I mean, Master of Puppets, my favorite thrash metal. The title track, my favorite. As a kid, I didn't know what Master of Puppets was about. As I got older, I realized it was about cocaine. Never ever expected that to be about cocaine until I read the
you read the lyric, chop your breakfast on a mirror. There you go.
I'm like, oh shit, about cocaine. Basically, drugs being the master, the puppet master, being the puppet. That's what it's about. I mean, it's a great idea back in the 80s. Imagine if somebody today would have created this in modern day. They would have gone to master legend recognition.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
So yeah, for me with Master of Puppets, as I've mentioned perhaps several times, not only my favorite album of all time, but the song Master of Puppets, my favorite song of all time, because that to me is the epitome of what everything Metallica is all about. Thrash speeds, some slow melodic breaks, some great dynamics that build up to the next part, especially after the great underrated guitar solo from James Hetfield in that melodic section in the middle, and after that's done, and then you get that marching beat, that dun 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 dun, and then it just builds up and gets back to being all about thrashing mayhem afterwards. And the evil laugh at the end to conclude the song was perfect. And even, it's been covered by a few bands over the years. To me, the best one to come close, Trivium, when they covered it for the 20th anniversary of this album, when Kerrang put together a compilation of bands covering songs from the album. Like, if I remember, I think Trivium did the title track, Master of Puppets, Mastodon did Orion, Bullet for My Valentine did Welcome Home Sanitarium, and they did a pretty good job.
No. Bullet for My Valentine did Death. Bullet for My Valentine did Creeping Death.
I could have swore they did Sanitarium too.
But I know that Bullet for My Valentine covered Creeping Death as well. I don't know if it was for the Kerrang album or if it was a cover that they did on their own.
Yeah, perhaps. And that's all I can remember from that album, that covers album. But the song Master of Puppets, to me, was the song I got into the most growing up, and it's still my favorite song of all time. Doesn't get old. And even though it hadn't gotten much radio play, it's one of their big staples live, and for good reason. It's a great live tune as well.
And it's even...
yeah. So, my number one, Master of Puppets, my favorite song, period, forever. And that does it for this episode of the Horsemen Podcast. I cried a little bit with fake tears, just to have something in there. And I got this shirt uncomfortably wet. And not in a sexual way either. So...
Well, the point thing, if no one's aware, Dave Mustaine has been diagnosed with throat cancer. We hope that he recovers soon and that he could perform with Ozzy when he gets the chance. And also, like I said before in the previous episode, the religion and thrash metal, you don't have to be satanic to listen to the music. Why? Dave Mustaine's a Christian.
And on that note, that'll do it for this episode. As far as the future, next time we come back, we're doing probably a tougher one for a lot of people, Iron Maiden songs. And Artur, that's going to be an episode where I think he'll cry. So we got that, and then after that, the one that Hannah might cry, Rammstein songs.
Ja, nein, Rammstein!
I am a few songs for Rammstein, but there's some probably going to be hard to pronounce.
Yeah. And then after that, we got top 10 love songs in metal. Also, at some point, we're doing also the live Q&A for the 1-year anniversary. We're still trying to figure out how we're going to do without having to use Google Hangouts because Artur hates Google. So,
we should also do an episode on top 10 live albums.
That will be the hardest one for me to do because I don't listen to
I know what my number one is. I know what my number one is.
So, with that said, and we're always going to have ideas up our sleeves. Hell, we might very well, because Banger hasn't done Lock Horns since December, we might try to do our own version of Lock Horns of other subgenres that they have yet to cover. The two that I want to do the most that I've been waiting for them to do, Death Grind and Crossover Thrash.
I might suggest one thing. Another for Lockhorn stuff. Top 10 best albums from Nuclear Blast and Season of Mist.
Oh, Season of Mist.
And also let's add Century Media and Roadrunner.
Prophecy.
Napalm Records too, but
yeah.
But that's an idea. Top 10 best albums from I would say Season of Mist or Nuclear Blast, although.
And we can't.
The tougher one out of that for me will be Roadrunner because there's so many great Roadrunner albums from the 80s and 90s.
Tougher for me will be both those two, Season of Mist and Nuclear Blast. But,
well, we got plenty of ideas up our sleeve, that's the point. But anyways, thank you guys for watching.
And we have to do top 10 folk metal albums.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to listen to more folk in my life because I'm going to be so lost for that one.
And afterwards you will start drinking. Quite heavily.
I agree with that.
And is that a bad thing?
No.
Amazing things.
I'd probably, if I was drunk, I'd be stumbling in a stupor and you're going, ah!
And then you will sing Courtney Clardy songs all night.
But anyways, the point is we got many ideas up our sleeve. Thank you guys for watching, who have been watching in the live premiere. And we'll see you in whatever we do next.
Maiden!
Oh, God, I could really use some good quality entertainment, but all I got's $40. So, what the hell am I going to do? Okay, let's see what we got to drink. Ah, fucking perfect. Ah, some good old Powerade. Delicious. No, not really. Damn it, we don't even have Spam in here! Whoa!